The video will begin here momentarily, but just as a brief introduction, I wanted to give you a little background on how this all came about. IWC reached out to Blake Buettner and myself to host a very special evening in San Francisco. There we were highlighting the Ingenieur models, IWC's only integrated bracelet collection. While we were there, they actually brought in 3 very special pieces from the IWC Museum in Schaffhausen. We had an original SL Jumbo from 1977, a test watch from 1993, as well as another piece from 1983 which showcased a change in the model's size. More on all of this in this episode, so do stay tuned and we hope you enjoy it.
I love this video, Wes.
It's tough to see those 914s crash though.
Really. No, it says a lot, I think, about this affliction that we all have about being into watches, owning watches, loving watches. And we've got a lot to, maybe not too much to talk about. I'm cognizant that we're sitting and you're standing. But we'll talk about some themes here around watch design and what we think makes good watch design. Before we get into that, though, Wesley, this is going into the podcast. Let's do a wrist check.
Okay. I am wearing the Tribute to 3705. I believe it was a 2021 release, if I recall. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. Obsessed with this watch. A lot of people know me to wear this watch a lot. Is absolutely a sort of cornerstone part of my collection, I would say. It is IWC to me. It's very minimal. It's very legible. Obviously, Pilot's chronograph. All that kind of stuff. It ticks all the boxes for sure.
And it obviously references a very important part of the brand's history.
Right. Yeah.
As well. Of course, the Pilot's watch is a really important part of what they're doing now. I got to say, I really love the squared off hour hand.
Very Mark 11
shape on this thing.
And then I also brought a surprise.
Uh-oh.
I got recently a IWC pocket watch with caliber 67 in it, which by my estimation and research through Google is a late 30s to early 50s type of time period. I don't really have a lot of literature that came with the pocket watch at all, but it's really, really neat. It's got the long script signature, and then it also has Breguet numerals that are actually applied, not painted, and then Breguet hands as well. Pretty obsessed with this, I must say. I've had it for 2 weeks.
It's lovely.
I looked for it for about 2 years. So
look, we're getting the full journey through here. This of IWC design now, going back to the 30s. Yeah. Obviously, still very influential on a lot of the watches that they do today.
Right.
In the Portuguese line, I'm wearing an Ingenieur, of course, the watch that we're here to talk about today, and this is the Aqua Dial that came out in 2023.
Yeah, it's hard to believe
now. So it says, I like coming back to watches like this after they've had some time to kind of sink in. I think you see a lot of new watches released today around maybe too much hype, and it clouds kind of your thinking around it a little bit. And if it's all you see on social, and if the people that you like and you follow are talking about it in a certain way, I think it shifts how you see some of these watches. So I love coming back to watches like that, like this, maybe a couple years after the fact to kind of, to kind of really think about what does this mean to me. I bought this right when this watch came out. And it's been a part of my rotation now for a couple of years. And, I like it. I keep watches that I wear.
Sure.
If I'm going to get it, it's got to be something I'm going to wear. I think watches look better when they get a little wear and tear on them, all that kind of stuff. And I think that really kind of helps you decipher, like, okay, how good of a watch is this? What's the design like? What's it like in everyday wear? Does it like get out of the way when it needs to? But it's there and it's a great experience when I want it to be. I think these are all qualities that we look for in great design. And again, kind of referencing that video, I think the era of the 70s was really interesting design-wise.
Sure.
Got this Dieter Rams guy that I think was very influential in this era as well. And he had these 10 like tenets of design that he would talk about, of good design. And they apply to all kinds of things. I know we've got people here tonight that are into cars and sneakers and all these other things, and this applies to all of these things. It's something that I think connects us all, how we think about these things and how we interact with them in our daily life.
Yeah, I think the interaction part is like, again, like a pillar on which experiencing these things, whether it be a car or a sneaker that's either comfortable. Hopefully the sneaker collectors are wearing their sneakers, so they're not, falling apart in their closet somewhere. But
Dude, this brings up another thing. That, like, I think there are watches that you might like the design of.
Yeah.
But maybe they just don't, for one reason or another, get along with your wrist in day-to-day life. And that might take some time to figure out. But these tenets of design, I think, capture something important about what like resonates with us about objects, the objects that we see, that we interact with, from like the buildings around us to the watches that we wear. So I think they say something bigger, but I think there's something in that video that Jalgenta, touches on, and he's bringing like the art to it, and I feel like that's kind of what has been done here. It has to kind of connect in an emotional level.
I was going to say it's the emotional
does.
impact, right?
And watches are things that we don't need right now. And there's a reason that we don't all like to just use our phones. There's a reason we don't all just drive Honda Civics and wear the cheapest shoes. Like it's about how we express ourselves, obviously.
Sure.
But it's also like, how do we feel? Mm-hmm. How does it make us feel?
Yeah.
And like obviously there's something that about that watch that tapped into you and how you feel about it, that's resonated, and you've kept it for these years. And it's the same with me and this thing, and I'm sure for many of you, and I've seen some really amazing watches already tonight on a lot of your wrists that it's a great experience that watch is bringing to you beyond the core practical tenets of its design.
Yeah, and I mean, me as someone who works in apparel, like it's a part of the outfit, and it does tell a story, which is why I've always enjoyed fashion and apparel, because it's a way to sort of show your personality without having to necessarily open your mouth and say something, right? So the second you walk into a room, you're actually communicating with what you're wearing, if for no other reason. Yep. And that's kind of what got me into watches as well, is just that self-expression. The things that you're drawn to, be it your shoes or your watch or your car or your jacket or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's easy to kind of box yourself in around kind of a set of rules that feels good to you. I know I've talked at length in the past about size. People have these rules around sizes. It can't be over 40 millimeters. It can't be this thick or whatever. But then they're surprised when they try something on and it fits with them in a way that they didn't really expect to. Mm-hmm. I think it says something else about how we experience these things. I want to shift back to this to the Ingenieur. We've got some of these like awesome historic ones, including where reference 1832 that we saw in the film here in the middle. I mean, look at these things. I think there's obvious DNA.
Yeah, the lineage is apparent. Yeah,
it's right there, right? Yeah. And and I want to talk a little bit about these reissue, like the throwback kind of trend that we've seen in the watch world over the past 10, 15 years.
Right.
You could maybe make a case for it going back further than that, but I think there are certain watches that came out that really kind of made it explode. And I think a lot of brands jumped on it, right, and maybe they bring back an exact reissue of an old watch. Some brands, use it as inspiration and come out with kind of a modern. It's a fine line to walk, to do it right. And this is what I find interesting about the modern Ingenieur that they've released here, is it walks that line, I think, really well.
Yeah.
It's obviously a part of this family, but it doesn't feel like an old watch.
Well, I feel like IWC does. I mean, I'm wearing one, right? This is literally called the Tribute to 3705. So I think what the brand does well is pays homage, but yet also makes it new. Now, be it a design or, material science, which is very well known within the IWC community, is pushing the envelope with materials and, soft iron inner case and all the rest of that. So, I mean, we're looking sort of at the birth of that.
And it's a lot of small details too. And you watch nerds in the audience will definitely, kind of like know what I'm talking about when I talk about this stuff. But how the bracelet integrates to the case, which already has the end link attached to the case on this one. Where on the modern one, it is an articulating link that goes into the case, so it wears maybe that much better. It has a crown guard where this one didn't have a crown guard. There's, I think, a lot of small details that went into making this a more modern, better experience on the wrist.
Yeah, because you clearly own one, so your experience and wearability and that sort of opinion is set through your own watch. So it's kind of cool that we have you, an owner, actually sitting here too to speak to this, because I don't have that experience personally.
Yeah, well, look, I think that says a lot about us and our experience with the brand.
Right.
We are longtime enthusiasts of IWC and own several of their watches, and that are incorporated into our kind of daily rotation.
Yeah.
I have a 3706 back in
Right.
my
Exactly.
bag there. Again, the squared off hour.
Yes.
I'm a sucker for that.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
Yeah, I love it. So yeah, I think this paints like a really interesting picture about like really doing history justice, and the thought that went into the original design to the thought that's gone into the subsequent generations, and then finally what we have in front of us now. This is a watch that's been, reinventing itself for a long time.
Precious metal.
Well, I mean, the Ingenieur itself goes back to the 50s, and then it was, the 70s before Genta designed what we kind of identify it as today. And, I think what we see from the brand right now in these new watches kind of does that a lot of justice. So,
sure.
Bang on, good watch design, I think, in terms of not making it feel like we're trying to make this a throwback.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned even this afternoon we were chit-chatting, and I was talking about those 10 tenants from Dieter Rams, and it was like, okay, yeah, tick, 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 like the watch. I mean, this isn't here just to like, try to move these things. It's like literally, this is what's interesting about this watch to me, and which is funny because like even prior to thinking about chatting directly about this watch, like I wasn't thinking about Dieter Rams when I looked at the Ingenieur in the boutique. You know what I mean? But now I do. Yeah. And I think that's really special.
Yeah, no, I think IWC have tapped into something special with this watch. I mean, you even see it in the kind of signage behind us and how they're utilizing this design language. Obviously, it is that kind of Dieter Rams-esque, what we think of, and that's, being in San Francisco, obviously closely associated with what we kind of identify as the modern tech world as well, and being influential there. So
100%.
So yeah, no, I would love to hear from you guys though, out in the audience, and about some of the watches. I want to shout out first though. A guy has a Porsche design IWC Compass watch.
Oh right, yeah, the one that flips open.
Oh my god,
amazing.
Yes, we need an Ingenieur version of this maybe with a case that.
Okay, yeah.
That flips open. But no, I really honestly like the kind of watches that you guys have. I love hearing the stories around them. And as you saw in the video, these are more than just things that we use to tell time. Obviously, none of us need these things today. So the stories that you guys have around watches, like, by all means, like, come and talk to us. We want to hear from you about them.
Yeah, absolutely.
To kind of help us tell their stories and what they mean to you beyond just the 10 tenets of design.
Right, yeah. Which obviously I'm sure wasn't like the whole point, back in the 70s. It was, but it's a happy coincidence,
You think he thought of that? You think Gerald Genta was like, I don't need any of that?
No.
He's like,
I'm a painter.
I'm a painter.
Yeah.
I'm an artist. And look at it. It still resonates with us today.
Yeah.
Which I think says a lot about the original design. So
awesome.
All right. Which one of these are you taking?
I don't know. I really like the 80s. The 34 millimeter closer to me.
Okay.
The 90s one was, of course, the one that was like the test watch. The original one's great, but there's something about that smaller size and the scale, which again, when they launched the 35s, was like surprising to me because usually I would say maybe a little too small, but it's really, really good.
Dude, it's great. If you think you can't pull off a smaller watch or a 35 sounds too small for you, I encourage you to try on the 35 millimeter over here.
Well, and then on the contrary, the one that like Ed Sheeran's known to wear is the all ceramic one, and that's a 42 millimeter.
42.
So I mean, it's a pretty, a 7 millimeter gap between the one that you had on earlier and that one. So there's plenty to choose from, and especially if you want to throw in the complicated ones, there's I think the 41 perpetual.
Yeah, the perpetual calendar is also quite lovely. So yeah, it's also different size.
Yeah.
Well, so a lot of range in this collection as it is, and I think it's awesome that IWC was able to bring them along with these historic museum pieces.
Yeah, these are incredible
for you guys to check out. If you haven't seen them yet, I highly encourage you to come over and check them out. And again, find us. We want to hear the stories around your watches tonight. Anything special that you have, we would love to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So. All right, man. where can we find more of this? Where can we find more of you? This will go live on Standard H on the Deep Track. You can find that. I also write about watches. He sells clothes. I don't know. You can find all that stuff in the links below. That's
right.
As we like to say. Does anyone have any questions? Any comments? Complaints? Anybody have anything to say about any of this stuff? We've got a mic over here, if so, or you can just shout at us or throw something at us over here.
Is it working? Yeah. I have a quick question. They really nailed the design, right? Taking the old one, not making a copy, but modernizing it just enough. Now, I have a question for you, Blake. Aqua is not a standard classic color. So what was the process for you to choose? Was it love at first sight? Was you like spend a long time thinking about all the choices?
Dude, honestly, it's the first time I saw it, which was I think February, the preview event in London. Then I saw the watch there in person for the first time before Watches and Wonders that year. And I remember taking the watch by a window to look at it in daylight. And it was kind of an overcast day in London, big surprise. And it had this like I couldn't even describe the quality of the color that was there. And a few of you, I think, saw it outside earlier when there was light. It really is the most dynamic dial that maybe I've ever seen. But it was really that specific kind of like blue that came out of it in that setting that made me realize, oh, I really, really love that. I will say, very close call between that and the titanium. I think the titanium is also fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's generally a little more up my alley in terms of the kind of watches that I would wear day to day. But hey, you got to push yourself outside your comfort zone every now and then. And the blue is, I think, a perfect opportunity to do that. So,
well, that color actually grew on me too, because for those who may or may not know, the aqua is supposed to mimic the river that runs behind the manufacturer. So if you go, the Rhine River is like literally that color. So it's like a color I saw online and I was like, okay, aqua, not really for me. But then you go to Switzerland and you see that running water in that color. And it's like, it totally changed that watch to me. Now it's one of my favorite colors because it's like, again, this harkens back to the emotion behind these things and a memory for me. I don't own that watch, but every time I see it, it reminds me of my trip to Schaffhausen, you know? So it's like, those are the whole, that's why we're here. Like 99% of the time.
To bring this all together.
Right.
You get the titanium version and then we can like swap month on, month off.
A deal. Done deal. Right.
Thank you for the question.
Hi, my name's Henry. Thanks for speaking to us today.
Sure.
With regard to the modern Ingenieur, we've seen the inspiration for the modern Ingenieur. Is the modern Ingenieur perfect in your eyes, or would you make any changes to it? Would you have, obviously the modern Ingenieur is different from the original. What changes would you make, or what would you suggest to Chris Granger if you could?
Well, there's a few things that immediately come to mind, and I think I've even maybe said these things to Chris Granger. I'm a sucker for a dateless watch. I'm a big dive watch fan. I love dateless dive watches. Side note: Aqua Timer, Ingenieur, IWC when? Come on, let's go. But no, so dateless, and I think like a 38 millimeter version would work quite well.
Goldilocks.
And the other thing, I'll throw a wild card out there, is like a rubber strap variation that would kind of like leave one link in and then the strap would start. I think would work really well with this watch. I don't know if any of that stuff would work, but I would be curious to see.
Yeah, no. I think that'd be really cool to at least experiment with it and see it. The titanium I wouldn't change. Even at 40 millimeter, I think because of the lack of weight, for whatever reason, it just wears different. The color's different, obviously, too, with that darker gray aesthetic that it has. The other thing about the titanium is it's the only iteration also with each of the indices and sort of the dial furniture, if you will. It's all outlined in black. And that, to me, adds like a crazy amount of depth visually. and regardless of angle, right? So you're not just talking about a black polish where at certain angles it looks black. No, it's black all the time. So it's a completely different dynamic approach to the visual nature of that piece. And that, to me, I mean, that watch is perfect for me.
You keep the date?
Why not?
Why not? All right. The crown guards. This is this is the first thing I said to Chris Granger when it released in Switzerland. I was like, oh, was there any debate about the crown guard situation? Because I noticed there was some dialogue online immediately, as watch nerds tend to do with this kind of stuff. I think it works well with the crown guards. So I'll just say that. They're not like intrusive to it. And when I see that without crown guards here,
it looks weird.
It's like maybe it's missing something. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just used to looking this way. What about you? What would you do? Would you have any changes?
Henry, you asked for a reason.
I'm actually I'm a fan of the quartz version, which is actually thinner than the automatic version.
Yeah.
I like the thinness. I like the look without the crown guards. I like the long International Watch Company script.
Yeah.
If they could bring that back.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All right, I'll riff on that then. I would bring a quartz version of it back. Maybe fill the dial with oil, so it brings all the hour markers like right up to the surface. There could be something there.
Interesting.
Yeah, dude. Hey, if we're going off the deep end, I love it. That's a great question.
With the long signature, check out the pocket watch.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Anybody else have anything to say? If not, we'll go back. Yeah.
So with integrated bracelet watches, the bracelet seems to be often an afterthought. So it doesn't seem like it is with the Ingenieur. Can you talk about your thoughts on how good design balances the bracelet versus the head?
I have a lot of thoughts on integrated bracelets, and I think that it's really kind of like a fine art of like how close the links are to each other, how like closely they articulate off of one another, and some of them you can set on a table and it just falls flat, and some of them it will kind of keep itself upright, like the structure of it. And then obviously like the finishing of the links, having kind of just rounded enough edges. Obviously the design of the H-links. I think all of these things, little tiny things, all need to be done right. And I think bracelets in general are often like an afterthought with a lot of brands.
Yeah, I mean, it's a form versus function conversation, right? Like and when you approach it with function first, those are probably the watches that fall flat.
Yeah. Yeah, and it feels great, all that kind of stuff. But like this on the wrist, it feels like fantastic. And I think it is a confluence of all of those little details being done correctly on a watch. And I don't think there's like a set of what has to be this, and this. It's really kind of, well, how does the brand think about integrating it all together and where it makes sense with the case. So, and in terms of the modern Ingenieur, I think they nailed the bracelet.
Yeah.
And I put my money where my mouth is on that one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you for the question.
Anyone else? Another one?
More over there.
Yeah, I just had a question. There was a lot of racing in the video. Any thoughts on a chronograph Ingenieur integrated bracelet?
Let's do it.
I'm with it. Yeah.
I'm there for it.
I'm a chronograph.
Might as well, right? There's a lot of racing in there.
Let's go one further. Let's make it a centrally mounted chronograph, a la EZM1 or something like that. Maybe monopusher.
There's a man right there.
I was thinking like maybe even like a dual chronograph.
Well, it's fertile ground, for sure. And I think the complicated versions. I think the perpetual calendar design works really spectacularly well. So, proof of concept.
Yeah,
right there.
I'd love to see it.
Throw a chronograph in that one.
We should just be hired by IWC.
No, I love it. I love it. Thank you. All right, with that, I can't thank all of you enough for being here. this is a city that is near and dear to my heart for a lot of reasons. I used to live here. And it's just a huge pleasure and honor to be here with IWC, a brand near and dear to my heart, with my good friend Wes. So thank you for being here. Thank you, IWC, for the opportunity to talk to you all.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.